this is Embroidering, and in this video I'm going to be doing embroidery while rambling. This is not an instructional video on embroidery in any way. And today I'm working on the Dragoturkey that I was working on in the previous two videos. So I finished reading Bobby Berk's book, and I have now started to read H.P. Lovecraft. And I always hear how H.P. Lovecraft was an influence for this story and that story, and they're the one where the whole Cthulhu thing originated from. It's pronounced Cthulhu, right? But you always hear how H.P. Lovecraft influenced a lot of writing today, but I never actually read any of his stuff. So there's this website called Storiarts, and I actually found out about them by an Instagram ad. Isn't it funny, because usually I hate ads so much, and when I see them it makes me so angry and I want to not support their product or whatever they're selling to me ever. But for some reason, Instagram ads, I guess they did a very good job with their algorithm, because they actually recommend me things that I'm looking for or interested in. But anyways, I had been wanting to get some books, like classic books, I guess, for a while now, a couple different ones, but I saw like an ad for a company called Storiarts like several months ago, and I kind of had them in the back of my mind, but all the books I was interested in were sold out, and so I was just in their little email me when it restocks kind of thing. And so when they did restock, I actually ordered 3 books from them. I got the H.P. Lovecraft book, which I think has all the short stories of H.P. Lovecraft. And then I got Iliad and Odyssey. And then the last one I got was Aesop's Fables. And the books they have available on their site, they have very beautiful covers. And I think if you get like the children's books, like Snow White and stuff, I think they have like pop-up illustrations and things. I'm not really sure because I don't own any of the children's books, but the 3 books that I did receive, their covers are so pretty. And yeah, so anyways, on their site, I would also eventually probably like to get Dracula, because I love the story of Dracula, and I would like to get Edgar Allan Poe's work, because I remember reading just a little bit of Edgar Allan Poe in school, because you were kind of required to read that in school, but I would like to read more of his works, because honestly the only thing I remember about Edgar Allan Poe is the thing about the heart inside the floorboards or something like that. But anyways, so I got those 3 books and I started reading H.P. Lovecraft, and I read 2 little stories of his so far. It was like The Beast in the Cave and The Alchemist. But I'm having fun and I'm excited to continue reading. I always feel like every single video I'm like, oh, I'm excited to continue, blah, blah, blah. But it's because I'm excited. And a little nice thing about the Lovecraft book is in the beginning, there's a little introduction section that tells you a little snippet about H.P. Lovecraft's life. And some parts were a little bit sad, but yeah. What's so funny about reading the books that are kind of from an older time is that they use vocabulary that you normally wouldn't use nowadays, which makes sense. I mean, you would use it still nowadays, but you don't hear it conversationally. So every now and then I have to look up words in the middle of reading because I liked, yes, you can figure out what the word is kind of through context clues, but I just kind of like to know what the word means. So I would be reading and then I would be looking up on the dictionary.com app on my phone like very quickly what the words are, like descry is like to catch sight of something, and then like salubrious is like something that's supposed to be like good for your health and stuff. And there are like some other words like something was like machicolation or something like that. Oh, and I just realized I pronounced that wrong. I think it's machicolation, not machy. Machicolation? And that's like the thing where, you know those giant towers for castles? I think that's a parapet. I'm not. I would have to look that up too. I think parapet is the tall towers of the castle, right? But a machicolation is basically like the little holes in the tower where you would use those holes to like dump out like molten lead out the window on your enemy or something like that. It's for attacking the enemy down below. So I feel like I'm learning new vocabulary word while also enjoying the stories. And you know, in the introduction, it had kind of mentioned like the genres of Lovecraft to be like tales of the weird. Because it's true, it's not necessarily completely horror. Because like the story of the alchemist, I feel like I wouldn't consider it a horror story. But the tales of the weird kind of genre, I think that like Dracula and Frankenstein and the Invisible Man and things like that would be in that in that genre. But you know, those stories are, I always love those stories. They're so much fun to read slash listen to. Some of the stories I did listen to on Audible, like those monster books that I mentioned, like Dracula, Frankenstein, Invisible Man. I remember I listened to it on Audible, but there's something kind of different from reading the book versus listening to the book. Although, like, they're both enjoyable, but, you know, it feels different. What's so funny is that I remember when I was listening to the audiobook of The Invisible Man, even though he was being even though he was kind of being like a maniac towards the end and attacking people, I think, for some reason I was rooting for him. Like, I felt like he just wanted to, I felt like he just, if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like he was just trying to study and do research, but then people kept like interfering and trying to kill him. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I wish that he could escape and then just be able to do his research in peace, even though he was being like a maniac. But that's if I'm remembering correctly. I can't remember. Maybe if I like actually re-listen to it or reread through it again, I don't know if I would be rooting for him or not. But then but the old school Invisible Man story, it was fun to listen to. And when I was listening to Frankenstein, I think because usually I have it on while I'm doing something, but sometimes the story starts to become white noise and then I start like not really listening. So Frankenstein, I don't have the whole entire story in my head. But did you know that at one point, I had listened to these stories like months ago, so maybe I could be misremembering things. But did you know that Frankenstein, when he learns to speak, he's speaking French. He learned to speak by listening to French people. So, oh my gosh, he's not even called Frankenstein. He's Frankenstein's monster. It's Dr. Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster, or his creature, I guess. But the creature, he learns to speak by listening to like a French family, and I don't want to spoil things even though it's an old story, but I didn't realize that until like much later in my life. So that's just a little interesting fact for you about Frankenstein's creature. But yeah, I will probably want to eventually read all of those books that are related to the tales of the weird, as they called it. Oh, and also I would want to read the all the Grimm's fairy tales, which includes the stories of, is it Red Riding Hood and Rumpelstiltskin and stuff like that, but not the tailored versions we know of today. I think the Grimm's version are more gruesome, like the original stories, because I think Cinderella was in that story. I think Cinderella is part of Grimm's fairy tale, but they like chop off the feet of the sisters or something. I can't really remember because I didn't actually read the story. So I would eventually want to read those too. It's funny because some fairy tale stories, you do read like the simplified versions when you're a child, but then when you hear of the kind of the original versions, I only know about them through, is it like cultural diffusion of information? I don't know if that would be the correct phrasing, but yeah, lots of things I would like to read. I haven't really been in a reading kick for a long time, but lately I just want to read, very excited to read. And I just want to do a million different hobbies. So I'm playing games, I'm reading, I'm embroidering, and I recently ordered plant cuttings on Etsy, and I'm very excited to get them to develop roots. I think it's supposed to take 1 to 4 weeks for them to develop roots. But I got a cutting of a Brazilian philodendron and a pothos, golden pothos. But the cuttings on Etsy, they were only like $2 for each cutting. And I made sure to order the cuttings from a seller that was within the same state as me, because if the little cuttings are being transported in the mail, I didn't want them to shrivel up and die. So I chose from a seller that was within my area, and they arrived very healthy, and I'll be keeping an eye on them to see if they develop any roots. And now I see we're approaching the end, so if you made it this far, thank you for listening, and bye!